What's up? Welcome back. Okay, we're gonna do another video that I never thought I would do because, again, there's dudes that are way smarter than me out there. However, over the last, I don't know, couple months, I have seen some of the most ridiculous stuff on the old social media, and I decided I gotta set some of this stuff straight because it's just out of control. So we're going to talk about CQB or CQC, whatever you want to call it, close quarter battle, close quarter combat, whatever it is. So that's what we got today. Okay, CQB used to be one of my favorite things to teach because I love it. You can go so far in the weeds with CQB that it's like you'll never get out. And it's almost like jiu-jitsu where there's a move and then there's a counter to that move, and there's a counter to the counter, a counter to the counter, and you can get super crazy with CQB depending on 1-man, 2-man, 3-man, 4-man, 8-man, whatever it may be, right? All right, so little history of my knowledge on this subject. Joined the Army in 97. I think it was 99 or 2000, one of those two, that I went to a mount leaders course. Basically, it was a week-long course teaching you how to enter and clear buildings. Obviously, privates get taught that stuff. Back in the 90s, it was a little bit different, but it was really good training, even back then. Fast forward, obviously, 2003, deployed to Iraq. That's all we did. I mean, that's all I did for, 2 years straight. Mission after mission after mission, hitting house after house after house, on and on, right? I was in Iraq in 03 and in 06. 06 was the deadliest year in Iraq, and we were always in the Sunni Triangle. Bounced around a little bit, but pretty much stayed always in the Sunni Triangle, which was a really horrible part. But that was my military experience. So I had, training, and then we did it live. And then obviously we did a lot more training when we came back for both deployments and between deployments, all that stuff, right? Get out of that, go into contracting. Contracting was pretty much all like hostage rescue, because that's what you weren't hitting houses per se. All you were doing was, if your principal got caught, if your principal got compromised, your team got hit, whatever, if you had a hard point, you would obviously go into the house and hard point, and then if your principal got caught, you would have to do a hostage rescue to get them. So we did a whole lot of CQB hostage rescue type stuff. 1 man all the way up to like 6 man. Okay. Let's see. Fast forward that, get into the cop world. The cop world. Oh man. So did a little bit of it in the academy, and then did a whole lot of it as a cop, because that's what you do, right? You go into houses and you do it all the damn time. So that was my experience, and now in the realm that I'm in, I'm actually teaching it to people that have never really done it before. The cool part about it was, throughout my whole experience, I had a lot of mentors, really good mentors, and I've been trained by the Army, SF dudes, Ranger Bat dudes, Delta Force guys, Navy SEALs, PJs, the fucking list goes on and on and on. And then, SWAT teams and all that stuff, right? Federal agent, I've worked with almost every federal agency overseas. I've done it a lot, all right? Live fire, yeah, we did a lot of that in Iraq. Go figure. As a cop, never got into officer-involved shooting, anything like that, so didn't do it live fire as a cop. Contracting, didn't have to, thank God. But we were definitely prepared for it. We trained a lot for that. So, my take, that was my intro to, that's where I get all my information, all my knowledge, was from not just doing it, but from talking to all those guys. And if I didn't understand something, to dig in their brain, right? Okay, so I want to go over the differences between cops, military, contracting, and civilians, right? Kind of already did a little bit, but here we go. So, cops, the way they do CQB is completely different than everybody else. They do a slow, methodical search. Cops go into a house and they have to look for crackheads and meth heads literally everywhere. That dude was underneath the bed, right? I've been in that exact same situation 100 times probably. But because they have to do it like that, they do it completely different, right? It's very slow, very methodical. On top of that, the guys who you would think do the most CQB stuff, like SWAT teams, actually do the least. Just talking to my buddy just the other day, he spent 29 years on a police force that is pretty large, and he was a K-9 handler and a SWAT team guy on that for 17 years, I believe, 17 years of it. So for 17 years, in those 29 years, they had 2 shootings inside of a building. 2 times in 29 years where the SWAT team actually shot or engaged or got shot at inside of a structure, okay? They shot a lot of people outside, while they're waiting by their vehicles and whatnot. Okay, cool. But to counter that, regular patrol officers getting shot at or shooting somebody inside a structure, a building, an apartment, house, whatever it may be, weekly. So there you go. Also, the guys who get the most training, the SWAT guys, don't do it that often. The guys who get the least amount of training, patrol guys, do it all the damn time, all right? But they do it slow, methodical. They got to look for crackheads and stuff, right? So when somebody says, well, I'm a SWAT guy, you should listen to me, that shit doesn't fly. I don't give a fuck that you were a SWAT team guy. I care about what your knowledge base is, right? I can take a guy from the military, a private from the military that was on a couple deployments, and they have 1,000 times more real world knowledge than you do if you're a SWAT guy and you've never been inside a building where somebody's actually shooting at you. You've never actually shot at somebody. And that's just the truth. Fucking hate me, whatever, I don't care. The point is, a private that has a couple deployments and has all this real world experience may not have all the exact knowledge of where to place your weapon, where to do this, where to do that, but they know exactly what to do when shit hits the fan. Vice versa, SWAT team guys, some are great, some are awesome, some are not that good, man. And some of those dudes who are not that good really think their shit doesn't stink, but whatever. Even SWAT team guys that do end up going into houses, they still do that pretty slow, methodical stuff. It's not fast at all. In comparison to the military, whole different ballgame, okay? You go into a building, you are looking for bad guys with guns that are shooting at you, right? You're gonna clear a house that quick. You're not looking inside the cushions of a couch for a crackhead. No, this dude's gonna be standing there wanting to kill you. He's not gonna be hiding underneath a sink, right? So it's just completely different. Also, with the military, you're more than likely gonna have a team of 4 or more. Cops, SWAT teams, yeah, you're gonna have that team, but patrol guys, man, you're lucky if you got more than 2 dudes, you're doing a pretty damn good job. All right. Military does have to look obviously like dead space and things like that, but they don't go as slow and methodical because they're not looking for guys who are just trying to hide from jail. They're looking for guys who want to kill them, right? Oh, let's see. Then on top of that, obviously. My other job, we did a lot of hostage rescue. Hostage rescue is a very fast and very violent. The reason being is most of the time when you go into a building that has a hostage, if you're not the hostage, you're a bad guy. Most of the dudes, if not all the dudes in the building, are going to be bad guys except for the guys that are either in a room or cuffed or whatever, right? So this is obviously umbrella speaking, but you go in there, you kill all bad guys, you rescue all the good guys, and that's about it. And you're gonna do fast and violent, really, really fast and violent, right? Because time is life. If these guys hear you breaching the door they're more likely going to run and kill the hostage because they know what you're there for. So that's why you have to do it super fast. That's why the dudes that are literally the tip of the spear when they do this, like SEAL Team 6 and Delta Force, those dudes, if you've ever got a chance to watch them clear a building, even on video, it's fucking amazing. I'll put this in there right now.
Jam, go. Stand up. Stand up. Back clear. Come here, you hurt? No. Walk around him.
Okay, so that video right there, that was amazing. First of all, the guy drops the guy outside when he's running on a full sprint, right? That's pretty cool. And then the way they take down everybody, like I said, most of the time it's going to be bad guys and then a hostage. It's not going to be a dude that has nothing to do with anything in there like you would have like in a normal house, whether you're a cop or a regular military. So then we're going to transition into active killer, right? Active shooter, active killer. Then now you got a different dynamic, right? Now you got usually one person, sometimes it's two, but usually one dude that's going around murdering people. You want to get to that singular person as fast as humanly possible, right? There's no time to do any medicine of people that are on the ground. There is no time to do much of anything except to say, hey, where's he at? He's that way, bet. And you're just, I don't want to say sprinting because you can kind of sprint to your own death, and I'll get to that. But you want to go quickly, all right? You don't care about clearing every single room when the bad guy's down, down there to the right. You don't care about clearing all these other rooms in the school, okay? You're going as fast as possible. You'll glance in there, but you're not going to sit there and do a whole clear on it. All right, so those are basically the four ways I see CQB. That's about it for me. If you think of another way, like, let me know, dude, because I'm always up for learning, right? Today, I'm going to focus on basically one-man CQB, all right? I'm not going to focus on team CQB because if you're a civilian watching this and if you need to do CQB in your own house, per se, or if you are just a first responder and you're the first person on scene at an active shooter at a damn King Soopers or a Walmart, you're going to be by yourself. You're not going to have a team of motherfuckers behind you. So you have to know how to do it by yourself. So in here, I'm going to insert some slides. I'm going to insert some things that I was filming when I was at work because like I said, I'm teaching these guys. And we're going to go over a few things, right? First thing I want to go over is training, okay? I don't know why, but usually whenever you see people train for this, they're always put in a position to lose. This is what I'm saying. They're always put in a position that bad guy is sitting there waiting for them, right? He's got his gun. He's got his gun just trained on the door, and he's just sitting there waiting for them. And as soon as they come in, blah, 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 right? Almost like he's in a defensive position. I'm going to tell you what, if bad guy's in a defensive position and you're doing CQB, life fucking sucks. Like, real bad. Hopefully you have some sort of fragmentation or diversionary tactics or something that maybe will make him look that way while you shoot him and enter the room. But damn, that is horrible, okay? Really bad. Not a good thing. But in reality, if you look at the majority of active shooters, they're not like that. They're not going to be barricaded in a room, right? The only one recently was that dude down in Uvalde, and we're going to get to that too. But that's not the norm. That's the exception that proves the rule, right? So if you're going to do training, if you're running training, I should say, don't set people up for failure. Don't have 16 dudes in a room all like waiting there with their guns drawn, everything beaded down the door. So as soon as you see that door crack, you're just going to lay waste. It's not realistic, okay? If you're going to do active shooter training, you have 1, possibly 2 people, and they're shooting stuff, and these guys are hunting them down and going to kill them. They're not going to barricade themselves in there, right? So let's get out of that mentality. Cops are the worst at it. Cops just set you up for failure, and then you go in there and fail, and then they're like, oh, you see, you're a piece of shit. They do that for infantry privates too. Like, you just set them up for failure. It's fucking stupid. But whatever. Okay. All right, let's go over a couple of things, right? Dog, hello. How are you? Let's go over just a couple things, right? So one, back in the day, the military guys, you would look for booby traps, right? You would look for wires. You would make sure the doors, weren't going to blow up when you open them. You look for pressure plates, things like that. Cops don't have to do that too often. Cops don't have to do that too often. It's not a bad habit to get into, really, just in case. But they don't have to do it too often. Hostage rescue, very, very little of that. Active shooter, active killer, very, very little of that stuff, right? But if you want to know about it, it's, everything you can think of in your head, like, hey, is there a pressure plate? Oh, is there a wire attached to the door? Oh, is there this? If you go over that stuff in your head, like, what would you do as a bad guy? That's what you got to train on. It's really that easy, right? Accoutrements on your weapons, okay? If you do not have night vision, which most people don't, if you do, cool. Hopefully the lights are turned off. They probably won't be, but whatever. Most active shooters are during the day, and most home invasions are during the day too, if you didn't know that. But accoutrement on weapons, if you do have a weapon, put one of these guys on here, right? Make sure you have a flashlight. I have one on every single one of my guns that I use for anything. Self-defense, self-protection, home defense, work, all that stuff. I have a flashlight on every gun, just in case. I would much rather have this and be able to use it. It doesn't weigh that much. It doesn't take up that much space in my pants. It's not that big of a deal. Now, there's guys who choose not to carry a flashlight because they say, hey, 99.9% of the self-defense shootings do not happen in low light conditions. They happen during the daytime. And you're absolutely right. And if you don't want to carry one, that's completely fine. I'm just saying, for me, what I recommend is putting a flashlight on your guns. I have my little Glock 43 has that TLR6, that little bitty sumbitch. It's not the greatest flashlight in the world, but you know what? At 10, 15 yards, I can PID, positively identify a target, right? So it's better than nothing. I usually always carry a handheld too. Most people carry handheld flashlights that are serious about this stuff. I have a Streamlight. I have a couple different ones that I put in my pocket. I'm actually waiting for one in the mail. It's really, really tiny. It plugs in, and it's like 500 lumens. That's plenty for this stuff, right? Again, on rifles, always have a flashlight. And depending on what you're going to do work with, whether it's a rifle or a pistol, make sure you know it, right? Make sure you know, like, I have a very high mount on this one, so I have to know my height over bore and all that good stuff, right? Because if I do go into a King Supers and some dude is killing people, and then all of a sudden some dude's got a hostage like this, I have to know where to aim in order to kill that guy, right? Because I'm liable for every single bullet that comes out of this gun. Regardless if you're trying to help people or not, you're still liable for everything, right? So make sure that you know exactly how to use your gun. You know your height over bore. If you're rocking iron sights, you're kind of wrong, but it's okay. We'll get over that. If you're rocking iron sights, just know that in low light, it kind of sucks. All that good stuff, right? With flashlights, let me put in this video. So the use of flashlights, oh my God. Now, this guy who made this video up is on a SWAT team in Houston. He honestly thinks that his shit doesn't stink and that he is always right no matter what. He has a page that does nothing but talk shit about other cops and the way they do things. But when he puts out a video of dudes that he's trained and they're using their flashlight like that, it makes me cringe because obviously this dude does not know what the fuck he's talking about. Okay, so let's back up. Back in the 90s, we didn't have flashlights on our guns. It was not a thing. Only dudes that did that were like really super awesome CAG guys. I was not a CAG guy, I was an infantry guy. We didn't have fucking flashlights. Fast forward, 2003, we had fucking mag lights. I'm not kidding you. The 2A mag lights taped to our guns because that's all we had. Because none of us could afford that fucking $500 Surefire that had the big old dick sticking out of the bottom, right? Super cool, but none of us could afford it. Okay? We finally got in like the regular Surefires that go on rails. And we obviously all had those come 2006. But those were like, what, 350 or maybe 500 lumens if they were... Maybe like 350. I bet if I compared one of those to my little flashlight, it'd be like night and day. But you know what? That's all we had. And at the time, we thought it was great. But we had to do training on it. And when we did training on it, it was not turn your shit on and then look everywhere. That's not what you did, okay? You also didn't just do this and keep that on. No, you did just like I was explaining. You turn it on. You look at your corner when you dig your corner. Then you move, and then you turn on again to dig whatever else you're digging, right? Okay. Don't be like that guy in the video and use your fucking flashlight. You know, bam, 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 bam. If you're going to do that, just turn the motherfucker on. Just turn the fucking thing on and leave it on, okay? If you're going to be like that, then just fucking do that. It's better to turn on, just leave it on, because then you can see everything and not have that fucking night, day, than it is to fucking do it every half a second. Don't be fucking stupid. It pisses me off. Whatever, right? Okay. The other things you have, right? Again, not very many people have night vision, so we're not going to go over all that. Pistols. Most people are going to be having pistols, especially in a self-defense active shooter scenario, right? Pistols. Whether you go like this, whatever it is, there is literally maybe two or three things that I can think of where if I'm right-handed, that I would switch to my left hand. One of them obviously being if my right arm gets blown off or shot or whatever. That's really about it, man. There's not too many reasons to switch to your left hand. Because this thing is so goddamn portable that if this is a wall and I'm shooting right side or left side, I have the same amount of my body exposed. A little bit different with a rifle. With a rifle, right? If I'm shooting over here, only this is exposed. If I'm shooting over here, all this is exposed. You see that? Now, if I switch, boom, see that? Okay. Real easy example, right? However, dudes get fucking wrapped up around changing shoulders. Holy shit. In combat, maybe twice, maybe zero. Maybe once or twice I switched shoulders. Maybe. I can't think of one single like definitive time that I did it. I probably did do it, but I can't think of one single time that I was like, all right, oh, there we go. That's much better. I can't think of it. So while you should be able to learn how to shoot from your opposite shoulder, you should know when you need to switch to your opposite shoulder. Don't fucking get wrapped around the axle that you have to switch your shoulder constantly. If you need to do it, then just do it and just roll with it. These people that are training people, they just fucking get so wrapped around the weeds in this shit, just fucking blow me away. And it tells me something. It tells me that they've never done this shit in real life. Because if they did, they wouldn't go so wrapped around the axle about that shit. This could be also one of those times that some people may say, well, you need to switch shoulders because you're going from, you know, on your strong side like that. I don't really buy into that camp too much, because if that was the case, you're just going to be constantly switching shoulders left and right. More than likely, you're not as good on your weak side as you are your strong side or support side, or whatever the hell you want to call it. I would rather keep my gun on my strong side, be able to manipulate and maneuver the weapon to my advantage. With a pistol, life is much, we'll say, easier. Again, I don't see many times where you need to switch hands with a pistol. You can get that thing up and running right away if you have to hug the wall. Again, if you don't, it's better. If you can come in wide, it's much better, but you're not gonna be able to come in wide on all scenarios, and we understand that. The other thing that people get all twisted up about, especially recently, is footwork. Again, with all my training, week-long classes, month-long class, 2 years of doing it every day, with all this training, I've never had one single fucking person, never one, go, all right, let's have a block of instruction on where to place our feet, right? I don't think it's a footwork issue if you're having issues like that. I think it's a tactics issue, right? If you, let's say this again, this is our wall. If you were like this and you're leaning out against that wall, right? And you don't want to have much of your body exposed. We'll talk about that in a second too, right? And let's say your foot is exposed, but your gun isn't, your foot or your arm out here or whatever. That's a tactics problem. You don't know what the fuck you're doing. Regardless of where your feet are, you don't know what you're doing. You need to fix that. The feet thing, that's like the last fucking thing I would talk about. If a dude doesn't run perfectly and his whole team is perfect and I don't have really anything to say, that's when you're like, well, what about your footwork? Because as an instructor, you got to have something negative to say, like an asshole. I don't know why, but they teach you that in instructor school that I went to. Yeah, I swear to God. So feet are like the last thing. It's all tactics. It's not your goddamn feet. And the fucking people that say that shit, they've just never done it in real life. That's all there is to it. They're like, yeah, but I was on a SWAT team. Yeah, I know. You pumped the fucking house full of gas for 5 hours. You sat outside, and then all of a sudden the guy's like, I give up. And then you ran out there like you're a badass. I get it. You're not impressing me. The only people that you impress are the people who don't know what the fuck you actually do. All right? So, speaking of your elbow stick, oh God, this fucking thing, right? This. If you shoot like this, you're going to get your goddamn elbow blowed off. Both of them. If you put your foot out here, you're going to get your foot blowed off. All right. Covered this earlier. If a dude is in the corner of a house and he's barricaded in and he's got his fucking bead on that door, there is very little you're going to do to not get shot. Especially if you're in America where the walls are hollow. He's going to see something at you and go bam, 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 and shoot through the wall and get you. That is called an ambush, okay? Say it with me, folks. Ambush. That has nothing to do with if your foot was over there. Nothing, okay? That has to do with this dude's fucking barricaded and he wants to murder you. Now, in all my years of combat, in all my years of copping, in all my years of fucking doing other cool guy shit overseas or whatever, I have never, not once, seen nor heard of anybody getting shot in the fucking foot or in the fucking elbow because they were like this. Or their fucking foot was 2 inches exposed. Never. Okay? The reason why is because if you fucking know what you're doing in CQB, they don't know you're fucking there until they get shot. That's the plan. See what I'm saying? If they don't know that I'm here, and all of a sudden, maybe my fucking big toe got exposed, but they don't know that I'm there, and I bust in the room, and bang, 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 guess what? They didn't know I was there until they're dead. Hippie, hippie, hooray, touchdown, score. You just saved the world, yay. That's what you guys need to be concentrating on, not all this fucking other bullshit. It just blows me away. You know, speaking of that, when are they going to know you're there? Okay. There's a very popular page on Instagram by a gentleman who, well, he's been outed a few times, but we'll just say he thinks his credentials are like way up here, right? He was on a small SWAT team in a small town in, we'll just say the South, right? The Southeast. And he thinks his shit doesn't stink when it comes to CQB. Okay. So he used to post things, he used to ask a question. So me, being an intellectual, I can't remember exactly what the question was, but I said, hey, have you gone loud or not? And he didn't know what I meant. And I said, well, do they know you're there? Have you gone loud? Have you fucking shot somebody? Have you thrown flashbangs? Have you breached a door? Have you done anything that would cause them alarm? He said, oh, I didn't even think about that. No shit, because you don't know what the fuck you're doing. So going loud, listen. It's like we talked before. If bad guy knows you're there, he's going to have time to either kill the hostage, set up an ambush, you know, dig in, basically, right? Once you go loud, there's no use of hiding anymore, okay? They already know you're there. If you had to blow the front door off, if you had to blow almost every door to get in, if you're banging every room, you know, throwing flashbangs in there, they know you're there, right? If you have to go in there and use this and it doesn't have a suppressor on it and you are fucking murdering people like this, they know exactly where you are, okay? They know you're there. They are going to take their countermeasures to do whatever they need to do to, you know, get ready for you. So once you go loud, you're loud, right? Stay quiet as long as possible, if you can, obviously. If you can't, then you can't, right? Active shooter, everybody's gonna be screaming, right? The active shooter probably doesn't know where you're at. Even if you run in there and be like, where the fuck are they at? And whoever's dead and you're half alive screaming, saying they're that way, they're gonna be too concentrated on what they're doing to realize what's going on. Hopefully, because hopefully there's an armed citizen within 30 seconds of that area or hears the gunshots and they can go there and, you know, hand out death cards right away. If not, if they have 10 minutes to do stuff, then, well, that just sucks. Okay, so let's talk about we got all this bullshit out of the way. There's another argument over caliber. What caliber should I use? Whatever caliber you have, whatever caliber you're fucking good with. If you're good with a 9mm rifle, use that. If you're good with a 5.56 rifle, if you use that. If you're good with 40, use that. If you're good with 9mm, whatever. Whatever you have at the time and whatever you're good at, whatever you've trained on, that's your golden ticket, right? Because there's no fucking special round that's going to do something miraculous that another round can't do, all right? Okay. So I'm going to put some pictures up here of tactics, right? One man CQB is the scariest thing in the world because you're all alone. There's a bad guy killing people and you are essentially Superman. So you need to employ every tactic you can to get an advantage to kill bad guy, okay? I.e. flashlights, red dots, anything, you know, if you have night vision and it's dark, then the night vision. Anything you can get your hands on, you know, if you have body armor, all that good stuff, right? I was introduced to a technique when I started contracting. Okay, this is how a one-man basically clears a room, right? When I was introduced to this technique, I thought it was absolutely ridiculous. I was like, oh my God, why in the world would this guy go like this and go around the door and they'd go into the room? I'm like, why wouldn't they just go into the fucking room, right? I was thinking that because every time I had done this previously, I had an entire squad with me, or a whole fucking platoon of motherfuckers, and we flooded that sumbitch, and there was 2 or 3 or 4 dudes in every single room, right? I wasn't thinking, if this is just me, like, I'm all by my lonesome, right? I'm the fucking lone survivor, and guess what? They're depending on me to fucking do everything. Now I have to be Batman, right? I wasn't thinking that way. And I was not thinking, what is the smartest way to do this? And what changed my mind was my buddy who was staying in my room. He was an SF guy. And when I was like, why the fuck are we doing it this way? He's like, bro, because of this. And he would tell me certain things. And so later on that night at dinner, we had like a 2-hour dinner, and I picked his brain on all this stuff. And he had some deployments like Iraq and Afghanistan, and he was telling that that's how they did it in Sephardic, right? Which is the SF, you know, shooting CQB stuff, right? And I was like, oh, well, fuck, you know, I feel really stupid now because, you know, I just ran my mouth in front of everybody like an asshole and blah, 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 right? Because I was an idiot. So the next day we went back and I said, you know what, guys, I apologize. I was being an idiot yesterday and I was wrong, right? No harm, no foul. It's okay to apologize if you're wrong. It's okay to be wrong. It doesn't matter, right? So then, I talked to one of our instructors who was a Navy SEAL, talked to him, asked him things, had a Ranger Bat in our class, a Ranger Bat dude, talked to him, they did the same thing. So all these guys in special operations were already doing this, and all of the little guys in my world were not doing this. So I was like, why do we do this, right? They said, well, you can clear 90% of that room, and sometimes like 95% of that room, by staying outside, right? By looking in, peering in the threshold, going all the way around and peering in the other, from the other direction, like this. By doing that, you basically have two dead spaces, right? Two corners. Let's say it's a center-fed room, you got two corners. If it's a corner-fed room, then you just have one corner, right? So you can clear like 95% of it. And what that does is that clears the whole fucking room, and all you gotta do is dig two corners, right? Obviously, it's a coin flip which corner you're gonna dig first, depending on the room and all that bullshit. But it's a lot easier. Now, here's a video of an SF guy using this technique in Afghanistan, putting down a bad guy.
Get down!
So as you saw there, he didn't even have to go into the room to put bad guy down, right? Bad guy was shooting. He shot at him from another room, advanced, boom, did the whole, like, I guess you call it like a 180, I don't know. He did, we eventually call it eating the door is what we called it, right? So you can do a pie, which is a slow methodical thing, book, 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 book. Or you can just eat the fucking door, right? Where you just go fast, okay? You go fast all the way around the outer perimeter of the door. You shoot what you can shoot. You can see what you can see. What we found out through training, through talking to people, was that if you don't know what's inside, like if you don't know there's a bad guy in there, the slow, methodical way is probably the right way to do it. If you know there's a bad guy in there, and if you are previously engaged with a bad guy, or he's shooting at you, or what have you, you know this bad guy, go faster, right? You don't want to stay in that threshold a long time, okay? You don't want to sit there and peer out and boom, 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 a long time if you know this dude's going to be shooting at you, right? You can go fast, still clear, all that stuff, right? Obviously, you got to train. You got to get used to moving that way and shooting like that, things like that, right? But what we found out, that was the best way to do it. Then after that, then you make your decision. I'm going to go this way or this way, whatever it may be. You go in there, you commit to your crack, boom, you dig your crack or whatever you want to call it. Dig your corner or whatever. Commit to the crack, commit to the corner, bam, bam, and then you clear your dead space, right? Now, again, one-man CQB sucks because if you have to clear like more than one room or like some hallways and stuff, it's fucking horrible. Active shooter. Let's take a look at the Uvalde. So, in that video, you had some dudes, some cops going down the hallway. They got shot at and they retreated. You also had some cops just staying back because they were giant fucking pussies. Now, what did we see? We saw one old man that wanted to get some. We saw a bunch of guys that were younger that had rifles and all kinds of stuff and they all had body armor, which they didn't have in the beginning. Right? So you saw a bunch of guys that were giant fucking pussies that were scared to do this, right? Here's the deal. Hostage rescue and active killer, your life means fucking nothing, right? The hostage or the civilians, their life means everything. If you have to sacrifice your life to fucking put that motherfucker in the ground because he's a bad guy, that's what you have to do. Like, I'm sorry. Like, I hope you've made your peace with whatever God you pray to, because you may not make it through. You may get shot. There's a high likely possibility that you may get shot doing this. But there's also a very high possibility that you're going to save somebody's fucking life. And in Uvalde, granted, the guy did a lot of killing before they got there. I get it. They went down there. Had they used the proper tactics, there was 2 rooms, two doors. In the doors, you'll see this picture. There's big slats of glass. Had they used the proper tactics, had they pied, grab a bite to eat, grab a bite to eat, grab a bite to eat, had they used the proper pie technique, I truly believe they would have been able to put that dude down. Obviously, you can shoot through glass, right? Regardless of what some special forces guys say, hollow points do go through glass. So I'm at like 100% they could have killed that guy. Granted, 100% sucks, so we're going to say 99%. 99% they could have fucking taken that dude out. Had they used the proper technique. The guys that ended up going in there were Homeland Security guys, special operations guys. And when I talk about cops, let me caveat this. When I talk about cops, I'm not talking about any federal law enforcement 3-letter agency guys that do this shit for a living. I'm not talking about those guys. I've met a lot of those guys, and almost all those guys are pretty fucking squared away. So all your HRT teams and all that, like the Border Patrol HRT team or SRT team, where they call it, that went in there and killed that dude, those guys are legit. Their training is legit. They're really good dudes. Cops I'm talking about are regular cops that are on a SWAT team that say they can't learn anything from the military because the military does shit differently and they can't teach cops anything. Obviously, they're stupid, right? Almost all the federal agencies and 3-letter agencies, they all go to the military to learn stuff because you have guys literally at the top of the food chain, tip of the spear, whatever you want to call it, that do this shit day in and day out and do this shit in real life day in and day out, and have been in many firefights inside of buildings, and that's why they go to them, right? Okay, so had they used proper techniques, I do believe they would have killed that guy right away. I don't think that it would have even been an issue, and they would have been the heroes and whatever, right? Unfortunately, they didn't. Unfortunately, they ran back. The old man really wanted to get a piece. As the video goes on, he was like crawling on his hands and knees up there, but he had no fucking support, no backup whatsoever, and they fucking failed their battle buddy. That's all there is. If they had used proper technique and could have saved one single life, just one, it would have been worth it. 100%, right? Oh, some other little tips that I've learned along the way. When you are doing CQB, even as a patrol cop, if you're out there as a civilian clearing your own house, all that stuff, if you think to yourself, there's going to be somebody there, right? And when you're practicing and you're doing stuff, you think to yourself, would I have done that if a bad guy had been in that corner, or a bad guy had been in this position, or whatever? If a bad guy had been ready waiting for me, would I have used that technique? If you think about it like that, you're going to refine a lot of things that you do and the way that you do them, right? For example, the reason why that, goddamn, every single military organization that I know of almost every single federal agency that I know of. All the people that kill people for a living, they'll go either over the shoulder to go into a room, or they'll go underneath the shoulder to go into a room, and they'll compress their gun, right? It's called compressing your rifle, okay? They do this because a lot of them have like a 10.5-inch gun and a 6-inch suppressor. It's a longer gun, right? And they can get into the room faster and easier. Now, when the gun's up here and or down here, you can still shoot people like this. If I go into a room, I prefer this technique. If I go into a room like this, and I go right around the corner, bam, the guy's there, I can pull the trigger right here, okay? Because you're going to be roughly, what, 10, 12 feet away from them? Like, if you can't fucking point shoot 10, 12 feet, we got some fucking shit to work on. Boom, 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 right? And while I'm doing it, boom, 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 okay? That's why you do that. Now, there are cops, again, popular ones, that don't abide by that. And I'm like, well, the dudes who do it for a living do it. I don't know why you wouldn't do it. He's like, well, we do the low ready. If I go into a door or if I'm behind somebody, I dig my corner. As I'm coming up, dude's shooting at me, okay? I cannot shoot the guy from here to here. Maybe right here, but from here to here, there's no shot. That's just the ground. Here, I have shots everywhere. You understand? The thing about it is, if you do this, coming up from the low ready, hugging the wall, it takes a lot of time for your weapon to go down and come back up, right? If you're gonna hug the wall, if you're gonna hug the wall and you do the over the shoulder, or the chicken wing, either one, over the shoulder, you can maneuver it easy and you're ready to fire. But the best way is to use your angles and come out here. If you have the length of a gun in the hallway, and you can get that gun out, up, purchased, and ready to rock, then that's obviously the best way of doing it. That's why we do it, okay? That's why everybody does it. Same with this, you know, boom, 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 come out, boom, 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 okay? That's why literally every top tier guy does it. Don't believe me? Cool. Here is a former Delta Force guy and a former SEAL Team 6 guy going into rooms. If you notice, they both did it. Go fucking figure, right? That's just kind of the way it is. We covered this in the door, right? Let's go over something real quick. The fucking high port like this, right? There are many cops, again, I don't know, fucking, it's always the fucking cops. They're just dumb as fuck. They don't like high port. Why? Because they heard at one point in time it was not good. Well, the reason why the Army doesn't do high port is because when we do live fire shoot houses, there's a catwalk upstairs and there's no roof, and nobody wants to get shot by some asshole doing this, right? That's how it is. However, I'm telling you right now, 99.9% of the time when I went into a house, I was at high port, okay? I mean, either I have my hand on somebody and I have my gun up here because I can move them and shoot if I have to, right? Boom, boom, boom. If I'm down here and I have my hand on them, it's really hard going to shoot them in the fucking leg, right? So I always have it like this. There's a lot of videos out there of, like, there's a really cool Delta Force training video that has Delta Force guys a long time ago. And a long time ago, man, everybody was down and then bring it up, right? We have evolved since then. We have, you know, not too much of CQB's changed, but there has been a lot of little things that have changed, right? again, like this. We never used to do that, okay? Boom, and boom. Up here, boom, break your gun down, right? You can break your gun down right here, and if you have to move somebody out of the way, you can just drop your gun and shoot. Again, talking 12 feet in a room, 15 feet at most, you'll be okay, right? Move the guy out of the way, or move him this way, whatever it may be, and you can still shoot. But that's up to you. I mean, I'm just throwing out techniques here. Real quick, let's talk about high port. I think high port is good. I think, especially like in a stack, if you're, you know, breaking it down like this in a stack, you get your hand on the back of a dude, boom, easy. As far as one-man CQB, you can still break it down, you know, the old chicken wing like we were talking about, but you can break it down like this. Come up here pretty easy. You can still shoot from here. I prefer over the shoulder, but if you were like this, you need to break it down, come back up. I think it's better for more than one-man CQB, but you could definitely use it in one-man CQB. Temple index. I don't mind it that bad. I really don't. There's a lot of dudes who hate on it. I don't hate it per se. I guess I use it like I would be like this as opposed to like this. That's about the only difference, but I don't hate it. I don't see what's inherently wrong about it. I get that, like, you pull the trigger and the bullet goes up in the air and you don't know where it's gonna come down. Like, I get that. But this, like the Sewell technique, this is the dumbest fucking thing I've ever seen. Cops do it all the goddamn time. It's fucking ridiculous. Like, what the fuck is this? This is like, if you're old like me and you know what this means, like, this is the dumbest fucking shit ever. I don't know who came up with that. I don't know where it's from, but fucking stop doing it, because you'll see just cops just doing this. They look like fucking retards walking around. They're not ready for anything, right? They're not fucking ready. Like, if you were ready, you would at least have a grip on your gun. You'd be fucking moving around. You can still point your gun at the ground, you know, you're ready, or you can have it up here and you're fucking ready to go like this, right? But if you're walking around like this in the fucking Sewell, you're a fucking retard. I said it. Fuck you. I don't care, right? You never see a military guy walking around like this. Never. You never see him walking around. Why? Because it's fucking stupid. Anyways, right. Another thing is, if you can, usually enter the room from the knob side. If the door either opens out or in, I mean, obviously you can't pick and choose. So regardless if it opens out, you're gonna have to go from the knob side, or else you're gonna have to run around the door or go all the way across the threshold and then open the door and then go in. Not a great idea. If the door goes in, you're either gonna have to go all the way across the threshold to open the door and push it in and then go. Or you can go from the knob side and, you know, boop, open it, push it, and then go. Or open it, push it, pie around, and then go. Whatever technique you want to use, right? Okay, so your house. You know your house better than anyone. So if you have to do this at your house, we talked about getting every advantage known to man, right? Some things people don't think about are like mirrors, right? I know some dudes that like go to the extreme and like put a mirror in certain places so they can see down the stairs and stuff, like you do like in parking garages, you see somebody's coming. I don't go that crazy, but whatever. So if you can look and see into a mirror, you can see down there. Oh fuck, I see. Yeah, there's nothing there. Now I know it's cool to go. You can even use that mirror to shine your flashlight on and then see if somebody's down there, right? If it's dark. Things like that. Every little thing will help, right? As I went over in my video a really long time ago, what I do, and something that I recommend everybody to do is, and it's always I don't know why is it always in the night? If there's a bump in the night, there's never a bump during the day apparently. If there's a bump in the night, you wake up, you jump out of your bed, you might want to put some drawers on because the police are going to come. Put some drawers on, you grab your gun, you tell your dog to shut up. I'm talking to you. And then you go and you handle business, right? Now, what I do is I say, okay, if I came out of my room, boom, and I had to make a shot, would I shoot any of my kids? Where their bed's at? What's between me and them? You know, all that stuff, right? So that's something I do look at, and I do look at it a lot. You know, can I shoot from here, here, here? And the answer is, I cannot shoot from here, but I can shoot here. I cannot shoot from here, but I can shoot here. I can definitely shoot here, over here, blah, 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 right? What's between me and the kids? We got washer and dryer. We got, you know, a bookshelf with a bunch of books on it. We have, you know, whatever, computers, you know, closets, things like that. All that stuff, you need to know all this stuff if you're going to plan on defending your house. Now, I had somebody, I got into a friendly banter with somebody on Instagram the other day, and for some reason, a lot of people seem to think that everything happens during the night. My question to this person was, what happens when it's 3 o'clock on a Saturday or Sunday and you're sitting on your couch and somebody boots your fucking door in? And we were talking about guns, and he keeps his gun in a safe upstairs. I said, your gun's in the safe upstairs. Then what? And then he said, well, I got rings of security. I got this and that and the other. I'm like, okay, cool. So what happens if dude kicks your door in? Then what are you going to do? Now me, because I'm, you know, whatever, you call it paranoid, I call it prepared, whatever. I have guns literally everywhere, right? My entire family knows where all the guns are. They know how to use every one of the guns. They know how to load them, unload them, shoot them, all that stuff. Even down to my 10-year-old son. Here's a video of my 10-year-old son plinking some steel with a 40.
Nice. Nice.
Okay. Why do we do that? Because God forbid the day that I'm gone, somebody does something stupid, comes into my house, and maybe the dog's not here. God forbid. Hopefully the dog is here, because the dog is going to take care of 90% of my problems. But he's not. Let's say the dog's not there, and one of my children have to pick something up, and they have to make the hardest decision they've ever had to make in their life, and they have to point this at another fucking human and pull the trigger. I want them to know exactly what to do. I want them to know what it feels like when the recoil hits and they have to fucking shoot again. I want them to know how to line up and put their sights on target. And I want them to know that, hey, guess what? If you don't hit them, this bullet's going to go in the neighbor's house. I want them to know all this stuff. So when the time comes, if the time comes, hopefully it never happens, but if the time comes they have to make that fucking horrible, horrible decision to do that, they can do it. And they just save their brother, their mother, and whoever else, if that time comes. And if you don't think it's happened, I believe it was in Florida. I'll see if I can find this, that it was like a 14-year-old kid had to do that. Somebody was breaking into his house, and he shot him. Shit happens, right? So to wrap this up, this has been a very long video, and I apologize for it. But a lot of the stuff I'm very passionate about. As you can tell, a lot of times I don't even take notes on things. It just kind of rolls off my tongue. And this one, because I've been working so much, I've been piecing this together, and I actually took notes on this one. And I hope that some of this sinks in. Hopefully you learned something. If you didn't, then I apologize for wasting your time. If you have something else to throw in there that maybe I didn't cover or didn't think of, fucking by all means, man, throw it in there. If you cannot have an adult conversation on social media, either anywhere else or on YouTube, like if you say something and maybe I disagree with it, or somebody else disagrees with it, or you disagree with me, and we can't have a friendly banter back and forth without like getting all fucking butthurt, then maybe social media is not for you and you shouldn't be here. Just saying. to review, right? Pieing a door is good and bad. There's pros and cons to everything. Most of the time, you're going to be by yourself. You're not going to be, you know, in a 4-man stack where number 1 man goes, 2-man button hooks, or just goes the opposite of number 1 man. 3-man goes the opposite of him, 4-man goes the opposite of him. You'll have sectors of fire and blah, blah, blah. More than likely, you're going to be by your lonesome, and you're going to be at a Walmart or wherever, or a theater, you know, wherever, and some fucking asshole is going to start shooting people, and you got to pull out your trusty fucking Glock 22 in this case, Gen 4 with a fucking TRL 1HL, whatever all that means, and you have to go to work. I pray that you have at least watched some videos, you have done some sort of training, and that anything I may have said sinks in just a little bit, and maybe at that time you remember, like, hey, maybe I'm just not going to charge this dude right away. Maybe I'm going to fucking pie this a little bit and get a bite and then fucking go, right? If you're going to pie the slow way, make sure you take big bites, right? Don't just go bloop, bloop, bloop. Take a big fucking bite, right? And remember, in your mind, you have the picture, there's going to be a fucking bad guy when I do this. So I punch out, boom, bad guy, okay? If there's not a bad guy, oh, fuck, thank God. Okay, here we go. Boom. You got to think about that in the head and do those mental movies and all that stuff. Prepare your mind, prepare your body, prepare everything for the worst fucking case scenario. Because if you prepare for the worst case scenario, all the other scenarios will be just a little bit easier, all right? All right, guys, ladies, dogs, that's it. I think I've said my piece. This is going to be like a fucking hour-long video. Again, I apologize it's so long. This is usually when you go to any school, CQB is like a week-long school. So an hour isn't that bad, I guess. An hour with a couple PowerPoint things and some videos. As always, if you need something from me, hit me up. I am pretty good about talking to everybody. And if you genuinely need something, I will genuinely help you out, 100%. Anything else, if there's a video that you want me to cover and I'm able to cover it, hit me up down below. If there's anything you want me to say more on or kind of touch up on or anything like that, let me know. And as always ask yourself, are you an asset or a liability? No, Freya!